So hello everybody. Trying a little bit different format. A friend of mine suggested maybe I change how I film this. One thing I noticed, I look really fat in the other pictures, and actually I'm a big guy, but I'm not really fat. I just lost 7 kilos actually this year since everything's been going on, and just trying to get back in better shape again. It's something I'm always fighting with because I want to talk to you about another thing that goes on in my life, and that's depression. Okay, I'm someone who've always been a bit of a worrier, I guess, but at the same time, I've been someone who just puts caution to the wind a lot, also, and just goes at it and tries whatever's out there. I did it in my youth, and I did it in my career in the military. And something that I've decided to change recently is that I'm going to start my own business. I think I'm working on right now the financial side. I've been doing planning for years. I mean, it's actually an area that I guess it's sort of like my specialty. I mean, it's going to be in outdoor. I got lucky. I've been teaching for many years, not just the outdoors, but a lot of stuff. I mean, it started actually when I was at Fort Bragg. I took a college course in outdoor education while I was studying history at the Fayetteville Technical Community College, and my first I was 20 something years old. I was young, and of course in the Army as a non-commissioned officer, you are always teaching, or you're always working with others, and trying to help others, to learn more and to become more advanced and become more specialized, or just to have the knowledge of doing whatever, in the Army. And so but I'd taken this course, and it was like 4 hours every Saturday for like I don't know, I think it was like 3 months. It was, or maybe 2 months, but had a curriculum and this kind of stuff, and so I showed up the first day, and it was me, this young lady, and a bunch of guys. Well, to my shock, I was the only one there who had any experience outdoors. And here we are in North Carolina at Fort Bragg, and I expected there to be some military people's kind of stuff, people who's done some things, And here I get there, and I'm the first one. And then the instructor was a park ranger. I remember he was a really nice guy, Indian guy actually. And the first day we arrived that morning, and he takes roll, and we talk about the curriculum and stuff. But he says, "You know what? I just got called away, and so I have to leave. I'm not going to be around for the next months, and so we have to drop we can't cancel the class, And I remember like damn, this is like we don't get that many periods of time. We didn't get that many periods of time in the military to take college courses, and I was working on getting a degree in history, in fact, and I'd already had 2 years of college and university, and then here I was trying to get those credit hours in. This wasn't a major credit. This was more like a minor's, just filling time up, because that's one of the problems within the U.S. system is that they fill your time up at university with a bunch of blah, blah, blah. It's stuff that you should have picked up already in high school, and a lot of us not necessarily picked it up. But and I'm seeing this more in my kids, who, my son, when he got his international baccalaureate, and my daughter got her French baccalaureate, they were already, like, when they finished that, they already had like a bachelor's degree at university. And I'm serious. They already had all that. And so when they went off to now they're at university now, they're only studying their majors. That's it. They're not studying extra math courses or English courses or whatever courses. They're concentrating specifically on their masters. Not on their master's program, but on their major, actually. My son being a history major, and my daughter being a criminology and psychology major. Anyway, get back to my point. So I asked the guy, I said, "Well, what are we going to do?" And he said, "Well, would any of you like to step up and teach the class?" And I was like, "Shit, I said, so I looked. I mean, I'd read the curriculum. I said, I mean, I could teach this. You know, it's just basically following each thing. You know, it was quite easy. And so I jumped in. You know, and so I got credit for teaching it, but also got, you know, I took the class also. You know, and I went a little bit off curriculum because I would always add something more to it. I thought it was a little bit lame, a little bit boring. No tests, you know. It was more like, you know, it's more physical stuff, you know. And it was everything from land navigation to how to camp. Even I took them rappelling because I had all this kit, you know. As a soldier, you sort of have all this stuff, and I loved rock, and I loved climbing and mountaineering, and I loved all that stuff. And plus, rappelling is just something that, you know, you just, you know, you pick it up in aerosol school. But hell, I remember when I was at Fort Lewis, Washington, we would go on the weekends to all the bridges around there. I mean, especially right there over the Snoqualmie, we used to rappel down to the river. It was only like 2 or 3 feet deep, you know, or we'd rappel up the cliffs overlooking it, which weren't that very good, but we used to attach them to the hard points on one of my buddy's cars. Or, I mean, one thing we did do, which is like completely insane, we rappelled off this 300-foot bridge. And this was doing, and we had to actually go out and buy ropes because we didn't have, all we had were like 120-foot Army ropes, you know, which were pretty shitty, you know, but they worked. I mean, we were burning through them though. We were, you know, we were using the only Swiss seats that, you know, we tied up ourselves with carabiners, and we did spend some money. We spent some big bucks and went out and got us some figure eights. But anyway, but you know, I really enjoyed doing what I had done, teaching and that kind of stuff too, especially that. And although and when I got to Switzerland after I finished the Army, I followed my ex-wife over here. I studied French for a while, and then I got into, you know, I met some guys at a business called Point Break, actually, and it was a tactical outdoor shop, and that was basically where I just stepped out of, you know. I met them, but they didn't have a job for me at their store. What they did do is they gave me a part-time job in a shooting range. But what I did down there is I went in and I completely revamped it and I cleaned it up. That was the biggest thing, just cleaning that place. I mean, you had to wear a mask when you're cleaning all the, you know, all the lanes and that kind of. So I cleaned it up, and then after a month, they said, "Listen, we want you to come into the shop." So I went into the shop, and within 9 months, I was managing it. And I ran that shop for 10 years and actually moved it to a different location and ran it for 10 years. Actually, and then from there, I in 2000, I don't remember what year it was, I stopped working there. It was just too much going on when it came to a level of stress on a personal level. This is when I really realized that I was having problems, stress problems. It's because one of the guys I was working with is a hardcore racist, and it just started affecting me so much. It affected me into a level that I just could not deal with it anymore. I just could not. All this, it was just too much. It was too much for me. You know, I wasn't raised to be a racist. You know, I mean, and when something I loved about the Army is we were all green. You know, there was no black and white or brown and all this kind of. Although you always had guys, you know, who tried to play that part a little bit. You know, here I was, this little, you know, redneck from Louisiana with a really strong accent at that time. I mean, a really strong accent. And I think the worst thing someone ever told me was, "You're just a good old boy." And that really infuriated me because I didn't want to be known as a good old boy. I wanted to be taken serious for what I do, you know, and for what I'd done. You know, and so when I got over here and I got into that business, you know, I did it for as long as I could because I didn't have to deal with this person that often. But the times I did have to deal with him, it was just too much. It was just too much. I mean, one day, I mean, I ran through a wall. I was just so infuriated because one thing that happened to me when I first got out of the Army is I had a lot of problems with, you know, especially in the Army too. I mean, and you know, it's hard cutting off, you know, this aggressiveness when you go home. It's really hard. You know, you're still on alert. You know, my wife at the time, I mean, you know. She was more physically aggressive than I was. I'm not a physical aggressive person. You know, I try to think my way through things, and I don't like confrontation. I don't like, you know, getting into disputes, this kind of stuff. But dealing with, you know, she had some anger issue problems, I would say, and she was a great woman, you know, great person, but and dealing with me. But I had some serious issues, I guess, with just turning off and coming home and just being a normal guy, you know. And but when I left, you know, I you don't realize you bring that with you. I remember when we first got to you know, we first got over here. It was so difficult for me because here I was a guy who was used to dealing with men, and suddenly I'm in the civilian world dealing with men who just weren't being very manly, you know. Now I'm just more like, you know, do your thing. You know, one thing I really I say I did for myself is I don't just hang out with guys. Matter of fact, I don't like necessarily hanging out with guys who think the same way I do. I like hanging out with people who have different opinions, different lifestyles. That's why, you know, I mesh a little bit. I mean, some people, now if you're a fanatic, like a lot of, you know, I don't have a problem with liberals. I have a problem because I'm a bit liberal, you know. I'm more libertarian, but in nature, you know, do what you want to do. Just don't get me involved in it if I don't want to be involved in it, you know. But I'm also a bit conservative when it comes to finances, and although I haven't been, but I am now. I have no choice. But also when it comes to, you know, just certain lifestyles. I mean, I'm not you know, I'm not a playboy. I don't treat women poorly. I treat women very well if I can. Anytime I can. Anytime I run a woman, I treat a woman very well. You know, of course you have those who don't want to be treated well, but I usually don't hang out with those kind of women. But anyway, so it was tough. It was tough when I came over here and having to deal with this aggressiveness. You know, all this you know, what was going on. You know, and it just sort of, you know, I got it was just tough. You know, and here I was working with a bunch of guys who were a bit, you know, who were also a bit this macho. You know, and I'm not a macho at all. I don't play a macho. I don't do macho stuff. You know, I've done a lot of stuff in my life. And I'm pretty happy. I haven't done everything I would like to have done, you know, but you know, that's just the way life is sometimes. But I just say that, you know, I really wanted to, you know, when I got here, I wanted to just sort of get away from all that. And one thing I learned is that when I left that job, is that you know, I left it at the wrong time, sort of. I mean, because that's right at 2008 when the crisis happened and the bubble popped, and then there was no jobs for 2 years. Well, during that time, I was basically a stay-at-home dad looking for a job, and I had an angry wife. You know, she was angry, I guess, because I wasn't working. She started doing her thing, you know, on the side, you know, which I didn't know about until later on. I did concentrate a lot on my kids with scouting, for example. I really got into scouting with my son, and I did a lot of training there. It's a really good training, actually, a training I can recommend. You know, but it's just my son. You know, I want to concentrate building the kids too, and I tried to be a good husband to her. You know, I tried to. You know, I had dinner ready. You know, I kept the house clean. You know, I got the kids involved too, though. So that wasn't just me cleaning the house, but the kids also. I mean, I was raised with chores, and so although I didn't overdo it with my kids, they also had chores. Clean their room up, help clean the bathroom, this kind of stuff. I got them involved. I wanted them to learn these things, because if you don't learn these things, you're screwed later on, you know. And right now, you know, every time I talk to my daughter and talk to my son, you know, they're doing really well. I mean, they know how to cook, they know how to clean, they know how to wash their clothes, they know how to sew, you know, and they know how to do things that I work to help teach them, you know. My ex-wife wasn't so much into all that stuff, you know. She wasn't a seamstress. She wasn't too much even into. I mean, she cooked really well. I can definitely. I expanded for 20 years, you know, around the waist, and I have nothing negative to say about that. That's for sure. But she wasn't, you know, she was at work. She had that work to do, and so I took on these chores at home. Do I recommend that for a man? I do recommend that. I do recommend men to learn these things, to do these things for their families. It's not a beta male thing. I don't think beta men take care of what needs to be taken care of at home. I think beta men don't do enough men stuff. You know, they need to, you know, go out and do. I'm not talking about go out and shoot all the guns in the world and drink beer. I'm talking about, you know, get the family out, camp, hike, you know. Ride bicycles, play sports, you know, do alpha male things. Even if you're you weren't raised to be an alpha male, find an alpha male route, you know, and But I have friends of mine who are alphas and betas, and I tell you some of those beta men, and I mean they're aggressive and stuff, but um, there are other things that you can learn from that, and that's also when you meet people, you try to learn something from them. It's giving and taking. But anyway, getting back to this sort of struggle I've had for all these years, with anger, I would say, is that it came to a point, and it actually ended when the separation happened with my ex-wife. I remember the night she told me what was going on. I lost all the blood from my face. I pretty much collapsed because I wasn't expecting that to come out of someone whom I prized to a level that I never, I put her on a pedestal. I mean, for me, she was a completely different person. I never imagined that she would do that, but these things happen, and life goes on, or you end it yourself. And for a while there, I just wanted to end it. I really did. I was, especially I was basically immediately sort of cast aside. She wanted to leave, but I left. And I probably should not have left. I probably should have stayed and taken care of the kids, been a better father. Instead, I left because I just felt like the kids need their mom. But in reality, I realized that actually kids need mother and dad. That's what they do need. But if a family splits up, I think fathers do much better job than a lot of mothers do, and they can. And I think that a young man needs a father, and a young girl needs a father. Goes back to arguing and making up. It takes a man to raise a son, and it takes a man to show a daughter how a man's supposed to act around women. Okay, and I think that women just can't do that. They just can't. I mean, I think the women have a lot of anger built up too, and I guess I was angry too. But I immediately, like I said, it took me a little while, but I got away from all that. I was mostly hurt, but it took me a little while. But once you get past all that and move on with life, but getting past that anger, getting past all that stuff, it took me a while. So let's jump ahead. Let's jump back to. I almost forget what this whole conversation is about. What we're talking about here. I got into this business, this tactical business, selling stuff. I did 10 years with this company. Then I was away from them for 2 years. And then they sold to someone else, whom was one of my apprentices in the very beginning. But I fired him because he was crap. But he did get better. He's a good young man. He just, he's got his own way of doing things. But I have no hard feelings about he or his brother. I think they're really good guys. I don't have anything negative to say about them. It's just one of the other guys was a problem. It's just that just didn't work. Anyway, so I got away. I came back to them for about a year and a half, working with them, and that failed because of the. It's what I've seen in business so often. There's only one business I've worked with that I haven't seen someone do things on a stupid level. And that's a good friend of mine named Laurent, who I worked with. I helped him open up a shop. We were about 6 months together. And in the end, I was pushed aside. I think there were some things going on there. Somebody who wanted the position, and then once he got it, he realized he couldn't handle it. But I helped him start his business off, and and now it's got 2 stores, but it's still a tactical business, okay? And actually, if you look at the color, the name, the scheme of it, how it looks, that's all what I had done for him, Do I feel angry about him? No. I mean, I've seen him in the past year. He's a good guy. I don't have anything against this guy, I don't think it was necessarily his decision for what happened. I think it was his partner who didn't like the idea of having to pay me a salary for what I was doing, That and like I said, there were some things probably said that I didn't know about from behind my back. People have a tendency not to want to talk to you in your face. They have a tendency to talk behind your back, and that's not the kind of person I am. If I have a problem with you, you're going to find out about it. And that's what I'm working up to right now, where I'm currently still employed until the end of next month. That's what's going to have to happen because this guy is just he did everything wrong you could possibly do when opening up a business. I mean, he started off good, but what I've seen in all the businesses I've worked with is that the owners tend to get greedy, and they forget that it takes a while to build a business, and they also forget that you need to keep investing into your business. I mean, there's two things that are very important, I think, in business, and it's also the very important leadership. First thing is taking care of the people who work for you and making sure that they know their jobs and they can carry out those functions, and then you give them all the tools they need to succeed, even if that means money. Okay, and as an owner of a business, you have to make sure that happens. You have to make sure, okay, I'm not going to buy a new motorcycle, a new car, a new gun, or come in sporting a $200 pair of jeans that you had specially made for you, so your butt looks good. You know, this is what was happening. You know, and because of that, you know, the businesses, you know that you have problems. I mean, right now where I'm at now, the guy currently, I mean, he's just well, for him, I think it's more of another area. You know, he's doing other things. You know, but his priority's never been on the employees. You know, I want to hold this group together. I'm going to hold this team together. We're going to make it. We're going to keep fighting. You know, yeah, but at the same time, you're throwing money out the window on other things, you know, that you shouldn't be throwing money. You should be investing every month right back into your business until it becomes a day where, and we were at the point, actually, if it wasn't for his actions, you know, we were saying, listen, give us the business to run. You know, it's still your business, but let us run it, you know. Let us run it, and we will run it, you know, this way, because it's a business that was a very good business. I mean, it was very healthy. I mean, in what we were doing, still a big tactical side. I'm more of the outdoor side, and that's what leads me to where I'm at now. I mean, like I said, I've worked for four different tactical businesses. Okay. One of them was probably a little bit less tactical, it was more of a mix of stuff. And that business was ran into the ground because it had a director who threw money away, who lost money, you know, and owners who weren't paying enough attention to it. And they were, just as long as they got their salaries every year, they were happy, you know. And all those guys doing was just borrowing money, you know, to pay for foolishness, you know. And we're talking about a lot of money. And but I'm tired of working for people like this. I want to work for myself. And so I'm hoping that within the next months or year, I'm able to get something going myself. I'm probably going to start off online, and that is just little by little buying stuff and selling it online, you know, and just build it up from there and see how it goes, you know, and hopefully, you know, I can you know, get this thing going, so that's where I'm at. When is it going to happen? I don't know. How's it going to happen? I don't know either. I'm just, right now, it's just a money thing, you know, and that's going to take a little more time. I'm probably going to, you know, there's some things I can do to get this money, you know. One is just work every day and save every dime and not do anything else and do it. Sort of very, very small. Or what I'm probably going to do is borrow the money for myself. You know, you know, you invest in yourself for retirement. So I'm probably going to borrow from that, and then try to build myself a real retirement, you know, so that first of all, I have a job I can keep coming to for as long as I want to, and then either one day sell it, or you know, expand, or whatever, you know, keep it going, you know. I like to work. I'm not someone who doesn't like working, and if I'm working for myself, I definitely want to work, you know. There's just all the financial stuff is a little bit more daunting, you know, in these businesses. I think that's what scares people the most, is like, you know, losing all your money that you've worked hard for, and then the financial side, because the government is really just a pain in the ass. But anyway, that's all I wanted to talk about, I guess, for the moment. And if you have any questions, please just put them in the comments. I think I've had 2 views so far. I think I'm the one who viewed them. I've been sending out test videos to people to see what they think about all this, you know, and yeah, I appreciate you watching it. Take care of yourselves, though. Good luck.